Hello everyone out there, this is Classic Vinyl Collectibles coming back with another video. Again, I just keep going through my entire record collection, bringing more of my releases to you. But this video is going to be something different. This is more of a tribute to a radio station that I found back in, I think it was 1983. When I had my boombox, the radio cassette was on record pause, and I was looking for something a bit different. Now back there in the Bay Area, we had these rock stations. KRQR, KSJO, KOME. Then we had also these other stations, KSOL, played soul music, breakdance and stuff. We had KMEL and KYUU, jazz station, I think it was. We had all these different radio stations, and I was looking for something different. So I think the year was 1983. I'm about 14, looking for something new. And it was a great time to be a teenager in the 80s. I keep saying that in my videos because it was such a wonderful time, a fresh new sound. And that's going to bring me to my first record here. But first of all, what we're talking about is KQAK, the Quake. And it was an FM station in the Bay Area. And I was looking for something new and I found the Quake. But before we get started too, I'd like to touch on this. Subscribe to my channel and I'm going to get all this out to you in different videos. Hit the notifications bell and I'll be bringing you future videos and projects that I make. Also, go ahead and hit the like button. That supports the channel and raises it up in its views. And also, mostly, I would like to hear from you in the comments section, mostly about this radio station, the Quake. How did it shape your future when you first discovered this radio station with Alex Bennett and the stuff that he was playing on there and other DJs as well? How did it change your future from there forward on music that you listen to? And we're talking about ska, punk, post-punk, some electro, synth-pop, new wave, dark wave, and all that stuff that was coming out back then. And they played a lot of the 12-inch singles, the long versions, which they were able to get away with. And that helped us to hear what the long version sounded like. A lot of the stuff had echoes in it, and that's going to bring me to some of the records that I'll be showing to you. I'm also going to be making these videos in different parts. This is going to be part one, my tribute of the records I heard on the Quake. So you're going to be seeing the same Eraserhead shirt. What a great movie that was. Dark, nightmarish, sort of horror flick. It was all in his head. A cult classic. So you're going to be seeing the same shirt. I'm not wearing it every day. I'm making these different videos. So absolutely not too long of an intro. That is where we're at. So I've got my radio next to me, and it's 1983. I got my record, pause, TDK or Maxell cassette. Remember the nightmare we had with those. I'm flipping through the dials. I'm passing KSJO, KRQR, those, looking for something, and I hear silence. Then this track comes on. This intense, choppy vocoder voice with the beat. And you're hearing tires skidding, a choir sound, and then this girl's voice. And you'll know the song when I say this, when she says, "I love you." It's not a love song at all. What could it possibly be? Well, it scared me. I never heard anything like this. And I gotta say, I wasn't ready for this sound. These guys are from Sweden, way ahead of their time. One of their most notable tracks is "Oh Yeah," "Oh Oh Chicka Chicka." You might recognize it from that. But here we go. The first record that I heard on the Quake is this. Oops, there's that shine. Yello, "I Love You." This is somewhat of a tribal, almost sinister, dark track of electro and synth pop. If you are familiar with it, you know what I'm talking about. And in the video, it's got shoes tapping together, even people's mouths doing this. It's the guys of Yello. But this is probably a good 10, 15 years way ahead of its time. And it's got this rolling bass line in it with all these dark sounds, echoes in the background. You would have to hear it to know what I'm talking about. And once you hear it, you'll get it. But the first time I heard it, I hit that record, that pause button on record, and I had to have that. What is this that I'm hearing? And I also have it here on this little picture disc. Look at that. Oh, is it upside down? But yeah, there it is. So Yello, way ahead of their time. They've made so many albums, so many tracks. And I would get caught up with Yello, Yello. I think it had to do with screaming hellos into the Swiss Alps, something like that. All right, so 5 minutes have gone by. I don't want my videos to be too long, so let's move on. And how about this one? And I think it's the words are he's a lady killer. And what was it? I'm a dance with you. The Vandals. Remember this one, Lady Killer. And it even has with some turntable scratching in it, sort of breakbeat, guitars all through it. I think it's probably one of the best songs they ever made. And it was only released on a 7-inch single. Otherwise, you can get the album. I'm not really into albums. I like the singles. So here it is. He's a Lady Killer. I have a dance with you. Great song. I can imagine what it must have been like in the clubs. I wasn't going to clubs yet until some years later. Big MTV track right here. This is when MTV was its best. I don't know why they call it MTV anymore. If it's not music television, don't get me started. But remember this dude, Peter Schilling, 4, 3, 2, 1. Earth below us, drifting, falling. Great guitar work in this, and the beat too. Great club track. And then here's the flip side as well. Peter Schilling. It's also done in German, but one of my favorite tracks of the 80s. I remember hearing this one here. Slowed down a bit, hard snare, and then the echoes of the letters come in. SSAAFFEETTYY. Safe dance. Safety dance. Otherwise known as We Could Dance If We Want To, You Could Leave Your Friends Behind. We hear it all the time. But this 12-inch single had the girl first. No, it was the guy's verse. He was spelling out the letters. And then later, the girl's voice is saying SSAAFFEE. A great long version on this. Safety dance. Men Without Hats. I just love this track so much. You know, when I talk about these tracks too, back when I was a teenager, it just gives that nostalgic feeling of you remember where you were at the time of the 80s, hearing all this stuff. And you almost wonder, can you just bring this music back? But what's been done has already been produced. And so we just sort of have our classics from back then, such as The Heaven 17. I think it's taken from that movie, The Clockwork Orange, when he's in the record store. But this one is We Live So Fast, motion, no time to waste. And even has his voice echoing in this one too. And that's what caught my ear with these records, was hearing the echoes. I had never heard songs with so much echoes in them before. Now we have this one here. Do you remember these words? Dinah drove her Chevrolet into the San Francisco Bay. Judy came from Ohio. She's a Scientologist. Amaranda, here's a kiss. I chose you to hit this list. 88 lines, about 44 women. Kind of tribal. I have never heard another song like this other than maybe Da 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 by Trio. Kind of like this, but this is more upbeat. He has 2 lines for every girl he's talking about. Some of it's pretty suggestive. Really trippy how they made this song here. Some of the things that the women are into that he talks about. But hey, the nails. 88 lines, about 44 women. We all know it, right? These 3 girls remind me of sort of a female girl group of Nick Rhodes of Duran Duran. And I'm only talking about the hairstyles and the makeup. If there was a girl group that was formed after the look of Nick Rhodes, maybe at about 1983 and 84, would be these girls right here. Bananarama. And the song was featured in Karate Kid when it shows Ralph Macchio going to high school on his bike. And the song is Cruel Summer, Leaving Me Here on My Own. And these girls are just a delight to watch in their videos. They're always jumping around and hopping. And that's the way it was with 80s music. It is just so happy to listen to. And the bass line in this too, on the synthesizer that they're using, I think it was a Roland, but nonetheless, great song here, Cruel Summer. They went on to do quite a few other tracks with the Fun Boy 3, a couple of guys from the Specials that went on to doing some sort of tribal synth pop. Now, we all heard Radar Love back in the 70s. Been driving all night with my hands on the wheel. All right, well, that was the 70s. We move into the 80s here, and help, I'm slipping into the twilight zone. Place is a madhouse, and my beacon's been moved from the moon and stars. Golden Earring, Twilight Zone, and this long version's got some nice synthesizer sound effects in it. Long break for the guitar in it, but Golden Earring, Twilight Zone. And there's the other side. Sorry about the glare on the plastic. All my records are in plastic sleeves for very specific reasons. All right, when I heard this guy's song, boy, this is powerful. And you got to crank this too. I have not been to any of his concerts yet, just haven't made it. But when I first heard this one, and it's on white vinyl, well, what could the song be? Hey, little sister, what have you done? And it's this guy here, Billy Idol. And it's also on white. Now, I love the part one. There is two parts to it. Part one is White Wedding, like we all hear. Part two is a longer version of it, and it gets a little bit more techno-ish. Not so much guitar, but more on the keyboards and just chopping and all kinds of whips, snapping sounds and echoes and crashes. So there is Billy Idol, White Wedding, Part 2. Look it up. Do you believe in heaven above? Do you believe in love? One of the finest songs to ever come out of the 80s from these guys. And I got this one on Curb Records. Perfect song to be filmed in a forest for the video. And it's this one here. Real Life. And it's Send Me an Angel Right Now. And what a beautiful sound on this too, especially with the girl's voice in the background. And listening to all this stuff on MTV, I remember coming home, I think it was junior high, and then from high school coming home, just to see what was on MTV. Clicking that channel, it was a cable box, hello, cable box, and that's all we had. MTV would be on, it was Martha Quinn, and Mark Goodman, I think. I remember Martha Quinn. Don't ask me why. Gorgeous girl, that's why. But I remember tuning in to see her and see what videos she was going to be making. Now, if the planet doesn't mind, it must be all right. If the planet doesn't care, it must be all swell. We have The Planet Doesn't Mind by Ex-Visitors. This is a Tony Mansfield production here. They did another one called Hokey Pokey. It's nothing like Hokey Pokey that any of us remember, but it's another electro powerful synth track. I don't know how they made that into an electro track, but you'd have to hear it yourself. This one is The Planet Doesn't Mind. Powerful track on that one too. You got to play it loud. Okay, these girls here, look at the 80s hair and the 80s clothes. What a video too. Toto Quello, I eat cannibals. You're bringing me an animal and me. I eat cannibals. What can I do? You're in a stew. Pot, pot, look it up. You gotta love the 80s songs. It was a very different time. It was almost like a rebirth of the 60s. I think that's why it was called the New Wave, the New British Wave, and other areas of Europe. God, these guys were good. They made that last track of 16 Candles, If You Were Here. This one here, you play this at a club and it's a floor filler. Thompson Twins, Lies, 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 yeah. They won't forget you, Lies, 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 yeah. And remember the other song too, Hold Me Now? That came after, also Dr. Doctor, but this is when the Quake was so good. One song after another. I couldn't get off that radio station. And that's why we're here. That's why I'm doing this video. It's my tribute to the Quake, my vinyl record collection. If you remember all of these, what a playlist this makes, doesn't it? Even if you do it on YouTube or Spotify, or you're still going back to cassettes, I don't mind. You listen to that playlist, it'll put you in a good mood. This was our stuff back then, man. The Tom Tom Club. He's a man with the four-way hips. He's a man with the four-way hips. And I think the Tom Tom Club were two members from Talking Heads. I think that's right. Correct me if I'm wrong. Again, with all this stuff, let me know in the comments what you think of what I'm showing you here. If you remember any of these tracks, if you were partial to them, if it's your favorite song, if you never heard it before, anything, let me hear from you. Tom Tom Club, they also did Genius of Love. They had the words in it, what you gonna do when you get out of jail? I'm gonna have some fun. Now, we have another collaboration here of Sparks and Jane Whelan from the Go-Go's. What a great dance track this is. I want to go to cool places tonight. Great work on the synthesizers in this and also the drum beats. Cool it now, I want to go. They just don't make music like this anymore. I wish they did. I don't know why it's so hard to do. Just think outside the box of jamming guitars and bring back the synthesizer. I say bring back the synths, the analog synths. Okay, I've got a trivia for you. And I posted this on the Facebook, the QUAKE Facebook page. As a trivia, what song is it where he says, she has a birthmark that looks just like a staple, and she wants to be an actress. Thin skin, you win. Sacrifice, you're giving it to them. Softcore by Maurice and the Clichés. I had to get this one. I got it for about 10 bucks on Discogs. But there it is, softcore. A lot of people don't know what this is until I posted the YouTube link and they said, oh, that's what that is. And so listen to it again. Look it up. Softcore, Maurice and the Clichés. Remember breakdancing? Everybody was doing it on the street corner, it seemed like. It was almost like the doo-wop from the 50s. Every street corner, somebody was putting together a new group. Well, in the early 80s and the late 70s, it seemed like every corner, or at least every schoolyard, somebody was putting together a breakdance and robot dancing group. It was one of the funnest times to have been during that time. And this was the track you can really breakdance to. Thomas Dolby, She Blinded Me with Science. Great video too. And it's poetry in motion when she turned her eyes to me. As deep as any ocean, sweet as any harmony. She blinded me with science. Also great synth drums in this, especially the end when it takes off on just the drums by itself. And you know you're hearing the long version when it does that. Thomas Dolby. This record is absolutely impossible to find. It's been sitting on Discogs for years. I finally went and pulled the trigger and got it, contacted the seller, and it came in much better condition than was described. I think it was described as a very good, not even very good plus. Well, it came in pretty good, like a very good plus. Or it wasn't just VG, it was very good plus, rather. Almost on near mint. A couple of bends. But what is it? I'm standing here on the ground. And there's the back side of it too. It's the INXS. Oh, no. This is, I was singing the other one. This is The One Thing. Sorry, wrong lyrics. The One Thing. This is in the video too, where they have a big old dinner table. It's got Milton Berle in it. It's got a cat walking. Great track here. God, play this one loud. And it's even got a little bit of keys on the synthesizer with guitars in it. And so, INXS got that one. Finally got my hands on it. And here we go. How about these guys? Kind of a reggae track here. Well, absolutely a reggae track. And there we go. Who are these guys? Peace Generation. Songs that really make you rub and scrub. Musical Youth. Past the Dutchie on the left-hand side. It was a cool and lonely, breezy afternoon. You watch these guys in this video. They're pretty young, and they're doing so well. You could just see where they were going with this. So, Past the Dutchie on the left-hand side. It's even in that movie, The Wedding Singer. Here's the Ex-Visitors. The other one was called Hokey Pokey. You put your left foot in, put your left foot out, and you shake it about. But it's doing, they're saying it in a robot voice. And it's got these fluttering sounds in it, all kinds of synthesizer work in here. Somehow they made it happen. Hokey Pokey made into this electro synth track. And there it is. Now let me turn it over. There you go. Speaking of talking heads, we got Burning Down the House. The video really caught my eye at the end when it shows his face sort of floating down the road. He's just staring. But I thought to myself, wow, this stuff is really weird. But it was very creative as well. I don't know if all of us were ready for the 80s. The 70s sort of tailed off with disco, soft rock, hard rock, and that was kind of it. A bunch of good soul tracks too. And then it turned into all this huge blow up in sound. A couple of more here. So like I said, the year was 1983. I'm 14 years old, and I hear this song come on, and all I can think of, if there was a song to ever play for the imagination of running on the beach with somebody hand in hand, sort of like the sound of falling in love, it would be this. Ultravox, Reap the Wild Wind, especially when he says, you take my hand and give me your friendship, and it has beautiful strings in it. Almost sounds like something that Flock of Seagulls would do. And it's this one here, Reap the Wild Wind. You'd have to hear it. Another very powerful song, but just beautiful. This really takes the strings up into a lot of sound, like a lot of violins on the synth. There's so many records here. I mean, yeah, I'll put these together here. I'll put these three together. I do want to show those. I might like you better if we fill in the blanks. I might like you better if we... Well, I'm not going to say on the video, but you know the song. Romeo Void, Never Say Never. A jamming track here. Almost kind of a... I guess you can call it post-punk. It wouldn't be really new wave, I don't think, but this is her song. Watch the video. I think it's in black and white, and it's even got horn section in this. Great sounding track, and it's, yeah, Romeo Void. One of the best songs I've ever heard from the 80s, one of the most beautiful, is this. I saw your eyes, and it made me smile. For a little while, I was falling in love. Put this back to back with Ultravox, Reap the Wild Wind, and you've got Flock of Seagulls, Space Age Love Song. Really, really nice. Their other song too, and I was thinking about this too, what a romantic sound they had. A Flock of Seagulls. If I had a photograph of you, something to remind me, I wouldn't spend my life just wishing. And it's this one here, Flock of Seagulls, Wishing. They sure had their own sound, didn't they? I'm trying to catch it without the light. Wishing, photograph of you. Good stuff. What would you say is one of the most #1 songs ever to be put out in the 80s? It's not going to be Blue Monday. That's the biggest selling record, but it is one of the biggest songs, yeah. But this has been in video games, it's been in retail stores, it has been in my Corvette when I'm taking it up to the highest speeds with the top down. Because if you own a fast car or if you own a slow car, it doesn't matter. If you own any car, get in it and pop your phone in and play this. I walk along the avenue, I never thought I'd meet a girl like you. Mike Score said, Flock of Seagulls, they weren't writing about anything. But when they finished the song, they said, it just goes to show that you can write a song about anything. It has no meaning to it, but, and I ran so far away. And this is the long version, so you have a lot more of Paul Reynolds' guitar work in it. So, they had great covers. This really points out the 80s look. All three of them here. What would you call this? It's not vintage. What would you call the 80s that had this really neon look to it? Neon was really big. Flashy colors was big in the 80s. Checkerboards. The piano necktie. Oh God, parachute pants. Had a pair of those. Oh, love this one too. Red Rockers. Remember this song, China? If you don't remember it, look it up. Calling out to your mystery, is that the way you will always be? I'm going to adjust that light on my next video so it doesn't glare. But we're almost at the end. We're at the end right now. 25-minute video. Red Rockers, great song. Okay, this guy's got a golden voice. Nobody else sounds like him. It's almost like Morrissey. Nobody else sounds like Morrissey. No one sounds like Simon Le Bon of Duran Duran. This guy, though, you want to try to sing like this guy? Look at this. More than this. You know there's nothing more than this. Look at the cover. It's like something from a fairy tale book. Roxy Music. They were in the 70s. They came out in the 80s with that album Avalon. Get it? The entire thing is good. Everything on that album. And then when Bryan Ferry went on his own, he made Boys to Girls. Another great album all the way through. So those are my suggestions. Get Roxy Music Avalon, and then Bryan Ferry, Ferry, Boys to Girls album. We got the connection. I heard it on the airways. The politicians are DJs. Something like that. No, it's on the back here. The politicians are all now DJs. But here we go. The politics of dancing. The politics of feeling good. The politics of moving. Is this message understood? Great pounding track. It almost sounds similar. Talk Talk. Sounds similar to Talk Talk's song, Talk Talk. Good hitting beat. The Kinks from the 60s, right? Then they came to the 80s and they did this nice song. Kind of a story about his sister. The singer is talking about his sister or somebody's sister. She used to come home. And he tells a little bit of a story here. Come dancing. Something on a Saturday. Don't be afraid to come dancing. My sister always would. Always would. And there you go. I don't remember all the words to songs just because they don't come to my mind as quick. Produced by Nick Rhodes. Do you know it? Kajagoogoo. You're too shy to shy. Hush hush, eye to eye. Look at these guys. Look at the hairstyles back then. That was the real thing. No one's making that up today. That's the real thing right there. Okay, last record here. I mentioned earlier, Terry Hall, a couple other guys, were a few members from the ska band, the Specials. They went on to doing the Fun Boy 3, or just Fun Boy 3. They took the Go-Go's, Our Lips Are Sealed, into a whole different tribal level. Way better, in my personal opinion. I can only take so much of the Go-Go song. That's just me. It's just too happy sounding. I like this version right here. There's a weapon that we can use in our defense, silence. Well, we know the words, right? But this one here, sung with Terry Hall, produced by David Byrne of Talking Heads, right here. The Fun Boy 3, Our Lips Are Sealed. Now, let me talk about this for a moment. This doesn't just go like the Go-Go song and the words all the way through. This has this crashing break, and this guy coming out, I think it's probably one of the members of the band, or somebody as a guest, speaking this language. I don't know what it is. It might be just sort of that Rastafarian talk. I'm not familiar with all of that, but he's speaking a different language, I think, or some of it's in English. But I do understand when he says the kisses of the enemy is deadly, and his voice is echoing and he shouts it. Whatever he's saying is really awesome, and there's an eerie guitar work in this. And on the other side is this Urdu version. Right here. If anybody knows what this language is that the guy's talking in, I'd like to hear it in the comments. Maybe you're more familiar with it. I want to be careful of how I describe it. But Urdu version, and then whatever this writing is right here. Fun Boy 3, though, what they did with the Go-Go song, they took it way, way deeper. So that's my video, 29 minutes. And I thank you for watching. Subscribe to the channel, hit notifications, hit the like button, and let me hear from you. You're going to be seeing part 2 in just a moment. So thank you.